I'm Claudia Catania, and you're listening to Playing on Air. You are about to hear Sheila, A Year in the Life of, by Kirsten Greenidge. Her plays, Milk Like Sugar, Luck of the Irish, Bossa Nova, and many more have been produced at New York's Playwright's Horizons, DC's Kennedy Center, and other major theaters nationally. Melia Bensussen directs today. She is the artistic director of Hartford Stage. She also conjures up time to direct all over the country, including here today. Sheila, A Year in the Life of, features a cast of 7. So I urge you to learn more about everybody at our website, playingonair.org. Seret Scott is an actor, director, playwright, and activist. She has contributed a lifetime of light to the arts and to justice. Postell Pringle is an actor, playwright, composer, hip-hop artist, music producer, and creative associate of Q Brothers Theater Company. Nikkole Slater is a writer, director, actor, advocate, and the theater arts chair at Howard University. Mary Bacon won the Drama Desk Award for Patty in Broadway's Coal Country, Susan in Nothing Gold Can Stay, and a third for her New York theater career. Brittany Allen is a playwright and an actor active off-Broadway. She also is a recipient of POA's James Stevenson Commission for her comedic short, The Wayfarer's Code. Lee Wilkof is an actor and stage and film director. He originated the roles of Seymour in Little Shop of Horrors and Sam Bick in Assassins. Marchánt Davis is a Broadway actor, producer, and children's book author. He directed POA's The Wayfarer's Code, Did I Miss Anything Important, and JFK Taxi. And now, here's Sheila, A Year in the Life of, by Kirsten Greenidge.
What I liked about Carl when I married him were his powers of observation. He could identify the birds in our backyard.
Cedar waxwing.
In plants and flowers and trees on walks.
Eastern redbud.
And every other Friday, even years and years in, we'd go dancing, line dancing, even though we weren't very good. It's only been recently that he'd come home with stories.
Want a break from the summer heat? Cool down for summer, folks, with our half-priced Italian ice. Nothing says summer better than Bernie's, where value is our middle name.
I was in checkout.
Not bothering people, I hope?
Not bothering? Who's bothering?
Just making sure.
It's a service.
Oh, Carl.
You have to consider the larger picture, see?
Oh, Carl.
What kind of world do you want to live in?
People just want to buy their food, get home to their family.
That is exactly what I mean.
In peace.
There is no peace if danger lurks about.
Carl, what did you do?
I saw her items, right?
Oh, Carl.
I saw her items and I said, oh, I wouldn't buy that.
Just leave people alone like you'd want yourself.
No. The truth must come out, my dear. I know you know this. The truth must be set free.
I think it's the truth will set you free.
I said to her plainly, truthfully, I don't believe in coding things.
With sugar.
I said it plain. I wouldn't buy that.
And she said?
Excuse me?
The chemicals.
What?
So many chemicals. Toxins. It's that I see you have kids.
Uh-huh.
You've got diapers.
And so...
Also, quite a bit of paper towels.
Exactly what is the problem?
Which you also shouldn't use.
Are you for real?
You want me to keep bringing this up?
I just thought you'd want to know.
Know what?
Since you've got kids and all.
Because there's kind of a line?
I mean, you care about your kids, right?
You are surely not serious.
You care about your kids.
Of course I care about my kids.
Really? Now I have a huge line.
What kind of thing is that to say? Do I care about my kids?
I just wouldn't use that if I had kids.
Oh, Carl.
It's the truth. I wouldn't let that near my own kid with a 10-foot pole. But I wasn't getting through.
Sir, I'm just trying to buy groceries.
They're no good.
And I don't have time for this. This checkout lady doesn't have time for this.
Oh, thanks. I think I have a baby face. Totally cringe. I look like I'm 12, but My mom says I'll enjoy it when I'm her age. Not one wrinkle. The only gray hair she has is on her chin, and she can totally remove that. Wrinkles? Not so much. They show up on your face, they stay on your face, you know?
Your children are precious. They shouldn't eat any of it. They shouldn't touch any of it. Our crops are poison.
When we met, Carl was concerned about the whales.
Magnificent creatures.
Majestic.
Yes, I think so. I think that too.
Our third date was to the Museum of Natural History.
It's not just the hunting that gets them.
I'm having such a good time.
It's the garbage floating in the seas.
But I do think our reservation is for 6.
And noise.
Dinner?
What? Oh, yes.
I made it for 6.
But can you believe that?
What?
Noise.
I think the museum closes soon.
It's because they communicate with sound, you see.
Yes.
Sound waves pulsing under the water like heartbeats. The more we fill the oceans with our contraptions, submarines, oil rigs, cruise ships. Can you imagine you're having a fine conversation with your best friend? Sheila, let's say.
Sheila the whale?
Uh-huh, yes. Sheila the whale. You're gabbing about, going on and on, remembering your girl days when you were smaller whales, little whales. And they can live 100 years, so you have a lot to talk about.
Me and Sheila.
You and Sheila the whale. And then, along comes some ridiculous party cruise, mucking it all up.
Aren't you getting hungry? We've been here hours. I'm ready to eat. I don't know about you.
Those companies even place their ads on public television as if they aren't harmless. But the damage they can do to our oceans.
To Sheila.
Yes, Sheila.
It's French. The place I chose. Do you eat French food?
Here I am, babbling about cruise ships, for God's sake. Oh, I'm sorry. I don't even know. Are you religious? Do you consider yourself spiritual?
My first husband was a drinker. I pretend he died young. I tell that to people if I'm at a party and someone asks. Although now it never really comes up because I'm married to Carl. And Carl is who I take with me to parties. But when it does, if someone asks, I say, my first husband died young. And then no one bothers me by asking much about my first husband who poured whiskey into his cornflakes. If my first husband had not been a drinker, I wonder if I would have considered Carl differently on that first date before his trips to the supermarket, which are like his job. He used to be a professor. Carl is retired now.
Number 53.
The nitrates? I wouldn't buy that.
It's turkey.
The feed that those turkeys eat, filthy garbage.
You get out of my face. I'm buying cold cuts.
Just keep walking, Carl.
You're peddling death.
You're bothering customers.
I'm not bothered. I'm hungry for turkey. It's me. I'm number 53. A pound of the pepper jack turkey.
I wouldn't touch it with a 10-foot pole. I absolutely wouldn't feed it to my family.
Make that 3 pounds, Mike.
You will rule this day.
Go move your car before they tow it again, Carl.
Fire lane. What I am trying to explain to you all is that this is the emergency. This is life or death. Who cares about the fire lane?
3 pounds of turkey for you, Patty, coming right up.
You will all rule the day.
Carl has a daughter who visits on major holidays. Carl was not married to her mother. The daughter says, the mother says, it was a one-night stand. Carl does not talk much about it. I cannot picture Carl participating in a one-night stand, but he studied a lot in college, and I do picture him shy. So perhaps it was more like that, a night out that was unusual for him, and he got carried away. He has trouble finding things to talk about with her. Sometimes I can tell he's been reading Dear Abby on his iPad. The daughter's name is Claire, which I rather like. But Carl claims the mother borrowed it from the movie The Breakfast Club.
Vapid.
Oh, don't say a thing like that. I don't want to think badly of her when I meet her.
Claire's mother had a thing for Molly Ringwald. Dyed her hair red, cut it to a bob. Colored her lips to make them look more pouty. Wore lots of bangles on her wrist.
Claire's a lovely girl, I'm sure. I'd really love to meet her.
Good kid, yes.
Yes,
Sure.
I'd love to meet her. Are you enjoying your food? I don't mean to pry. You're enjoying your food, yes? Your dinner.
Delightful.
If we keep this up, we'll eat through every type of food there is.
Huh?
Well, it has been 2 months, Carl.
You should know I am not the marrying kind of person. Marriage is a social institution, a legal institution.
Social? Legal? What about romance?
This isn't romance.
Then what are these dates every other evening?
Okay.
Okay, what?
I didn't even marry Claire's mother.
But you will marry me.
I will marry you.
You'd better, mister. It was not romantic. Carl was correct. I invited my friends, who'd left me behind long ago, having babies, getting promotions and homes, and sometimes second homes, and now sometimes grandchildren. And he invited his friends, a bit on the stuffy side. I tried to read their books, their articles, but they seemed to enjoy it when one hadn't read any of it. When what they knew and discussed was privileged, secret amongst them. But I didn't care. Or maybe it was more accurate to say I didn't seem to mind. Carl was a man of passions and convictions, and I was happy to be a part of it, even if I had to let my own self in.
Stop going into Bernie's. You can't keep doing this, Pops. Order what you want online. Get it delivered if you can't behave yourself.
After Carl would get into his little altercations at Bernie's supermarket, Claire would swoop in, try to clean things up. Claire, honey, it's just your dad being your daddy.
He is wreaking havoc.
Claire is a travel nurse now. She's just a little past 40, not a girl at all. She lives with her cats, and she doesn't care what people think about it. She does not care that she will never marry. She does not want to raise any children. She says she raised herself, shuttling between parents. Somewhere along the way there was a stepfather who she liked better than her real parents, but he's long gone. She does not care that she's not participating in life the way it seems she ought. Instead, she just does it. Sometimes I'm a little jealous. After I left the drinker, maybe I should have just done that too.
Daddy, I can't keep bailing you out.
I wasn't arrested.
Kinda you were.
Detained, Claire.
Elaine, please. You're not making this easier. Whatever you want to call it, Daddy, stop doing it, or they will throw you in jail.
For telling housewives truth? What sort of world is this?
Housewife is not a word to use anymore.
We are descending into ruin. We are the Romans.
I do tell him to stay home. Carl, you should stay home, read a good book. I tell him all the time.
Read a good book?
Read? I write the books.
The college did ask him not to go around there anymore.
Elaine, this is new.
I'm sorry I didn't let you know.
I know this must be hard, Daddy.
My darling girl. What is living for if not to make it better for later, for you all, if we can?
I know. But Daddy, listen, you must not do this anymore. You've got to leave the shoppers alone. Leave other people's kids alone.
The earth is dying. Our insides are rotting.
Fall is in the air, folks. Get ready with our fresh-picked red, delicious apples. Nothing says autumn like... Hey, folks, if you got a brown Saturn license plate AXN555, you are blocking the fire lane. Please come move your car. The license plate AX...
One asks oneself, who does one speak for? In action, in deeds. My deeds, I hope, are good, are true, and speak for those who are not able. I only want this world, our life, to continue. Our children should not feast on plastic. We cannot serve them poison and expect them to survive. Oh my God. They will not live.
Oh my God.
They will not prosper.
Get a manager.
I have a child.
We need a manager.
We cannot live this way. Hey!
Look out!
You can't do that! Sir!
See what you done?
He's free to go.
Thank you. Let's go home, you. Carl? Carl!
You think you do fine as a parent.
These people don't want to hear all your troubles now.
You think you do at least a little bit of a good job. But she didn't pick up. My own flesh and blood.
Let's go home. I made pork chops. Come on, stand up.
The manager will be in touch about the damages.
Yes, thank you. Carl, let's go home
You
now.
think you do fine. But there are signs you maybe didn't.
Oh, that's nonsense. I'm sorry, officer. He has a daughter, a lovely girl. You did a lovely job with her, Carl. So come with me now. If you're so worried about Claire, let's go home and call her up and tell her everything's all right.
There's interference.
Carl!
It's fine, ma'am. He can stay till he's ready.
He is ready now. Carl?
When a whale can't hear its calf, that's when there's real trouble with survival. That's when there's peril with continuation of the species.
Get up.
Ma'am?
You think you do fine, and then you realize your one job is to make more you, to keep things going. And you fail at that. I failed at that. What more can I do except help others? They don't have to make the same mistakes.
Please, stand up. It's time to go home.
That's the whole disaster.
Really, he can stay if you want. We can call our team, offer some help.
No, you will not. Carl, now you stand yourself up now.
I failed. Really, there is no home.
Get up now. I lost one husband. I'm too old to lose another. I will not waste my life this way.
Spring has sprung, our loyal customers, and we have fresh tulips in our flower shop on sale. Buy one bunch, get the other half off. Because nothing says spring better than Bernie's where...
Winter was particularly harsh. Snowstorms and ice storms and that Arctic dome they bring up on the news made an appearance just before March, just when you think winter is over. Claire does not come by. I visit Carl every other Sunday, and I feel shame about that. I signed all the papers, and I feel shame. But the nursing home does a good job. It really does. It's not so bad. What I did not expect was the anger. I wanted some specific kind of life. I don't know. I also did not expect the jealousy. Claire just lives her life. She does not care if it's not what was expected. I guess I myself did not realize I cared so much. I shop alone now.
Do you need a bag?
Yes, please.
You just heard Sheila, A Year in the Life of, by Kirsten Greenidge. Directed by Melia Bensussen, it featured Seret Scott as Elaine, Postell Pringle as her husband Carl, Nikkole Salter as their daughter Claire, and as an infant in the supermarket, Mary Bacon as Jordan, the woman at the checkout line, and Patty, the woman at the deli counter. Brittany Allen as the young supermarket cashier, Marchánt Davis as the man on the PA system and the police officer, and Lee Wilkof as the deli counterman. This play, Sheila, A Year in the Life of, is a James Stevenson commission for comedic play sponsored by the extraordinary Josephine Merck in honor of her late husband, the New Yorker's longtime cartoonist, illustrator, and reporter. Kirsten Greenidge, playwright. I have to say, like a Jim Stevenson's editorial cartoon, you wrote a play with limited lines and humor while revealing truisms about human nature and the state of the world, so I thank you for that.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you.
Do the challenges of the short form attract you?
Yeah, I think you have to be really enamored of economy of language, which I am not always. So it really forces one to try to condense and communicate in an economic way. And I do enjoy the challenge of that.
As a director, it's such a gift to be with this wonderful cast and to actually hit these really large themes, even while talking through just 20 pages. That I found just speaking with all of you and hearing you do these lines, that I was ruminating on large issues in my life and was really grateful for the fact that they were contained within this journey of 20 minutes.
Melia, as a director, what were your specific challenges today in this concentrated amount of time?
Well, for me, this format of making something purely to be listened to, it's not in my day-to-day work life as a theater director. So it was actually really interesting to hear the voices and think about the differences in the cadences and the accents and the tonalities for an audience that's not seeing these wonderful humans that I get to witness. The essence of rehearsing, the essence of collaborating with a terrific writer and wonderful actors is the same no matter what the format, right? I feel like we throw out ideas at each other and we come up with something better through the mixture of our conversation. And I can only think through conversation. So I'm grateful for the opportunity.
Thank you. And now, can any of you address the whale in the room? What did you make of Carl's personification of her and what she represents in this play?
On the actor breaks, everyone was talking about, like, my mom had dementia, or both my parents had Alzheimer's, and it's and my mom had dementia, and it's like, it's so common, and yet, I that strikes me. It's like it's a common thing, and I'm not sure what the whale in the room is, but I think for me it's very moving because it's so resonant with what all of us will experience at some time.
Kirsten says that she's majestic, which is very beautiful in terms of nature, but she's also being hurt.
I've never known anyone that isn't moved by a whale. They're different sizes, but
they're mammals.
They're mammals. They're in our family. Yeah. And the inevitability, the way things are going, of their total destruction is almost certain unless... So, and there are other things. There are things in human lives that are sadly inevitable. So there's a confluence of that.
Carl speaks to the idea that there are all these external forces that put this incredible creature in peril. And he's pairing Sheila with another,
That's what I was going to say. It's their conversation that's imperiled.
Right, exactly. And the idea that there are all these external forces that can actually keep them, from communicating, from, to some extent, being together.
I love that. That's what I was going to say before, was that it's the interference that he hears between him and his daughter.
Yeah.
The interference of how we mess up human relationships. But when you describe Sheila at first, it's you and Sheila, you, Elaine, and Sheila trying to have a conversation. and there's too much interference. And I find that either dementia or texting or modernity or father-daughter relationships, the interference between communication, I think you've captured, Kirsten, so movingly.
I was thinking that there's a kind of a bigger problem than a whale. As big as it is. There's a bigger problem. And you can't hear me. I have nobody. And the last person I married, whatever he did, you have the word Carl about 6 or 7 times in the script. That's all she says. And it says everything, because that's the only word that I can get together to try to express anything. It's just Carl. And you're not there. And it's about where we end up.
Wow. So for you, the experience of doing this is really to go into this journey of real loss for her.
Yeah, and unfortunately, do you want me to write a list in the past, 5 years of people, of actors, of creative people who can't do it anymore. And what do we do? But they don't know can't do it anymore.
That's very interesting. I went to a memorial service recently where the son of the person who passed away said not to pass people off who have dementia as being unable to sense the reality that you're in. He said that his mother was keenly aware of her diagnosis when it happened and what would happen. And on occasion, she would say things like, I know there's not a lion behind you because lions are not in Washington, D.C. But there is a lion behind you.
Wow.
As clear as day, and it is real.
But she had both.
But she was able at a moment in her journey to articulate her experience for the people around her until she wasn't able to do that anymore,
Brittany, Alan, you play the young cashier who's trying to get her head around her face and her mother's face changing, and suddenly a chin hair, wrinkles. Brittany, you're a playwright by profession as well as an actor. Any ideas as to how the young cashier's concern with aging fits into the play?
I love the cashier text because I do think it's written as this humorous kind of interruption, but the freight of witnessing and not necessarily thinking very deeply about what that witnessing means in the moment, maybe, but the acknowledgement of it is. It strikes me. It's very profound. I don't know if I have anything to say about it.
No, I like it too. And that, again, people are fighting the natural world. Elaine, played by Seret Scott, reflects about her marriage to Carl. On one of their dates, Carl said that what they two have isn't romance. Can any of you talk a bit about what they do have and Elaine's unmet expectations of marriage, as well as the touch of jealousy she harbors for her stepdaughter, Claire?
Well, and it's also to talk about what she's jealous of.
This is Mary Bacon.
Oh, sorry. Because I love the scene where she's getting him to marry her. It's her drive in that is this is what I signed up for. And I can see that. And then you see the consequence of her trying to form him into something that he doesn't even understand the importance of being, And then what she's left with in that jealousy of a woman who recognizes that at a younger age, that no, I'm on my own, it's fine. I'm a recent widow, and I often am wow, would it be better to have just, I am slightly jealous of that, knowing you are who you got to rely on is yourself. And also I think this play speaks a lot to what's the community that she feels so alone, and that she would go out and find someone and then be grateful that someone gives her a back. It's just incredibly moving to me.
And I love that you've given Claire the sense and the way Elaine describes it, right, is she doesn't feel she has to do things just because people expect her to. You're supposed to care about a father. But if the father didn't care for you, which is kind of, you were shuttled, etc., right? She doesn't feel the sort of, right? Elaine feels shame about even putting her husband in a home. I think one envies Claire the lack of shame, that there's a clarity about Claire's choice.
But there is also, to play devil's advocate, something to be said about a person or people who don't think about themselves in the continuum of humanity, the continuum of their families, that they just step out. Like, our nation is obsessed to me with our rights, our right to choose, our right not to do what other people expect, and standing tall on that. But all of these rights come with responsibilities, because you can't extract yourself. You are a part of something. So if you're going to take that right, then what did you do to handle your responsibility to the whole, whether that's your whole family or your whole nucleus or your whole community or your whole nation? Like, how we treat our elders is abhorrent to me, and there are many, many cultures who would die to let their elders go to a home, or to be sort of shuttled off to be taken care of into the next wave of life by somebody else. They would be like, absolutely not. Absolutely not. I don't know if one is right or wrong. I just know that we're all connected. And I also know that we all have to take care of ourselves. I think it is a shame that it all, in a nuclear situation, falls perhaps on one person. I have many friends who are single, who are only children. And like the burden of the family legacy and estate and all of that. I was thinking about legacy in this play too, because Carl has a line about stopping the progress of me or something like that. And I'm wondering, he's also referring to the fact that his daughter chose not to have a child. How did I have a child who didn't understand her place in the continuum, that she felt like she could actually stop it and feel nothing about that?
So I have this obsession with TikTok, and this summer when I went down a hole. I went down a hole, but the hole was about a generational pull of Boomer, Gen X,
Kirsten Greenidge,
Gen Z, and then my kids are Gen Z, young Gen Z. I'm not sure where they are, but I know they're not my generation.
They're not your generation.
And to listen to them sometimes talk about that continuum, what you owe or need to offer others. And that's a really difficult conversation, especially with the younger people I have found who have grown up in a culture of me. It's a museum of me. And so what does it mean to extend yourself beyond, the halls of oneself? So that was very much present. And we're watching that for hours that I'm a little ashamed, embarrassed to say. But what I love about TikTok is just the storytelling. It's dopamine, quick bits of story, quick, but it's just huge life issues in just less than a minute. So that ended up in here.
Carl thinks preserving humankind is our ultimate task, but Claire chooses not to procreate, as we just mentioned. Patty chooses to consume nitrates. Jordan buys plastic diapers and paper towels. And there's a lot of anxiety-creating choices here. So what are you, Kirsten Greenidge, suggesting we do?
Oh, my! Well, I can't speak for anyone else, but I think one of the things that Carl is interested in is asking people to pay attention and to be mindful. So that is one thing that one could do. I think my plays like to pose questions. I don't have the answers, but being mindful, paying attention. I'm also realizing, having worked on Our Daughters Like Pillars with Nikkole and Postell about I have an obsession with paper towels. I'm like, what's going on?
I noticed that. I
Listening to you too. I was like,
I noticed
that's
that.
my
I noticed
obsession
that.
with paper towels. But I think it's about consumption and mindless consumption and asking oneself what that means and how to change the course so we perhaps live a better life. If one of the things we do as people is either procreate or take care of those who are already here, what threatens that, and how can we tend to that? If it's not tending to biological children, it's tending to community, to each other, to not perpetuate harm. Yeah,
Carla's really a prophet. I mean, that's
I
part
think
of what
he
I love
is.
about what you've done too, is that the line between a kind of dementia and dropping of filters, and the line between just speaking truth and prophecy, right? And there's a beauty to what Carla's trying to do that I find very moving.
There's a line, yes, and I think rang with the line, "This is the emergency."
This is, and the line was actually written, "This is an emergency," and you said, "This is the emergency," and we looked at each other. I was like, "That's the line."
Postell.
Carl reminds me of Cassandra in the Greek
There you
myth.
go, prophecy.
The pagan god Apollo gave Cassandra the power of prophecy. But when she rejected his advances, he
nice way to
tacked
put it.
on that no one would believe her warnings. So this play is also about listening, I would say. Thank you. Thank you all, really and truly. It's been meaningful for me too.
Thank you for bringing us all together. It's really a pleasure.
You've been listening to Playing on Air, great American short audio plays with great American artists. Theme music by Tom Cochan. Recording, Ian Kagi. Audio editing and sound design, John Kilgore. Playing on Air is distributed by PRX, Public Radio Exchange, and available on our podcast, Playing on Air. Or you can stream performances from our website, playingonair.org. I'm your host, Claudia Catania, the founder and artistic director of Playing on Air. Thanks for listening.